Welcome back to Hardwood Heroes. I'm Andrew Bowlby.
And I'm Ashley Fry. We're going to keep this intro short and sweet because we have got to get into these games.
Yeah, one Alexander girls game had major TVC Ohio standings implications.
The Megs boys faced their toughest test yet.
And Southern took a step forward to ending a title drought.
But we're going to start with the NY Lady Buckeyes, who took on cross-conference opponent Southern for the first time since 2011. A very slow start to this game for both teams. The first quarter closed with a score of just 6-5, but we're going to heat up in the second. Maddie Pidcock, well, I think this pass is going to speak for itself. Out to Megan Booth for the corner, game, set, match into the third. Southern forced, but when the Buckeyes need clutch plays, give them Maddie Pidcock from the corner. She's going to get it done. Don't worry about it. NY finds their rhythm and runs away with this one 47-37. Now moving over to the Buckeye boys, who came into this week tied for third in the Ohio with Athens, making this last Friday night's matchup between the two all the more important. And Sam Nolan, the NY reporter, is here to break it down with us.
Yeah, Ashley, this is an Athens team the Buckeyes had already faced this past December. The Bulldogs won 56-52 in a back-and-forth game at Nelsonville, York. But we've got a lot to cover from this one, so let's jump right in. In such a big rivalry matchup, you know Athens had to show up and get loud right away. First half, they call a charge on Alec Thompson here. It's a sign of the intense play to come. The game ramps up fast from here though, as sophomore Weston Wheatley puts up 8 for the Bulldogs in the third. Jump to the fourth, and the Levy legacy is alive and well. Gavin Levy hits the clutch 3 to make it a 1-point game with 11 seconds remaining. Athens' Leo Martin then hits 2 free throws, and it's a 3-point game as the clock dwindles down. Give me Bean Martin from outer space. He wants overtime, ladies and gentlemen, so let's do it. Fast forward in overtime, last possession of the game, NY has it. Big man, Cam Sullivan, once in on the fun. This kid is built for Friday nights. Quarterback in the fall, clutch in the winter. NY ends up taking this one 55-54.
Now that is a game that'll raise your heart rate, and it was a rematch.
Yeah, especially since round 2 featured different players rising to the occasion. The first time it was Alec Thompson for NY and Leo Martin for Athens. Both scored 18, but on Friday, Thompson had 8 and Martin only had 4.
So without big contributions from those two, who did you see step up to the plate on Friday?
The Bulldogs got plenty of production from their underclassmen. In particular, freshman Colin Chapman and sophomore Weston Wheatley combined for 31 points. On the other hand, the role players were everything down the stretch for NY. Bean Martin and Gavin Levy hit several clutch threes, and their energy is what gave the Buckeyes this win. Vibes were through the roof for NY, Ashley. We talked to Coach Gabriel after the game. He was nothing but smiles.
Well, I think a big win is definitely a reason to smile. Thanks, Sam.
Let's stay out in the Plains. Athens boys hosting Gallia Academy earlier in the week. Head coach Mickey Cozart sitting on 99 career wins. First quarter action, Blue Devils senior Cade Mott going to use his size advantage and score. He had more than half of his team's points with 28. Bulldogs up just 3 after half, but defensive adjustments paid off big time. Leo Martin, and what a season he's having with the steal and fast break bucket. Short time later, Martin going to get it again, and he pulls up, drains this triple, 23 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals on the night. Athens pulls away and wins 57-43. And as mentioned, Cozart had 99 wins with the Bulldogs coming into the week. And with the win Monday, he has number 100 for his career. In the 8-year Cozart tenure, Athens has never finished last, and they have a great chance to keep that streak going this year. Now, the boys split their games this week, but for the Athens girls, we're bringing in Luke Schmidt.
Thanks, Bowlby. The Lady Bulldogs played 3 games over a 4-day stretch last week. They hosted Vinton County on Wednesday and showcased their strong depth across the roster. The Lady Vikings voyaged to Athens for the first time this season, eager to secure a big TVC win. This game was tight in the first quarter, each team putting up single-digit points and making threes from beyond the arc. Coming out of the first quarter break, the Bulldogs rallied and played very consistently throughout the rest of the game. Each Athens starter had at least 6 points, and they were led by Asa Holcomb, who had 16 points and 4 steals on the night. The Bulldogs beat Vinton County 62-26 and outscored the Vikings 36-18 in the second half, doubling the Vikings' points. With another dominant conference win, Athens continues to be the team to beat in the TVC Ohio. Bowlby, I hate to sound like a broken record, but the Athens depth continues to play a major role in this team's success this season.
Yeah, so let's break down this Bulldogs deep rotation.
Of course, Bowlby. Asa Holcomb is the commander of this Athens juggernaut, and her drives to the rim and impressive shot selection leaves defenders in the dust.
Yeah, so I know Asa Holcomb gets a lot of the attention, but who else contributes in the backcourt?
Ella Chapman and Olivia Smart had 16 and 8 points respectively in the Bulldogs' win against Vinton County on Wednesday. While the starters rest, guard Bristol Stump came off the bench for Athens and helped the team stay in the game with her aggressive play style.
So in a team full of guards, how do the Bulldogs fare in the paint?
Down low, forward Quinn Banks stretches the floor and scores from beyond the arc, while center Alexis Copel is a force on the boards, as demonstrated by her 10 rebounds against Vinton County. It is clear that this roster is built to compete at a high level, and they will be put to the test in a pivotal game at Alexander next week. After that, they'll look for season sweeps against Nelsonville, York, and Van County before heading into postseason play. WOUB Athens needs all hands on deck to get a win over the Spartans on Thursday, and it'll be one of their biggest games all season.
Yeah, and definitely a high-stakes matchup, Luke. Thanks for all the great work. And actually, we just talked about that big Athens-Alexander game. The Lady Spartans also played a big game this week.
Yeah, absolutely. They faced the River Valley Raiders this past week in a matchup crucial to the TVC Ohio standings. Alexander reporter Noah Cabin was at the game. Now, Noah, the last time these two teams played, the Spartans won 45-43 in an overtime thriller.
Yeah, Ashley, and as y'all mentioned, there was a lot more at stake this time, and the Raiders ended up winning this one 38-26 in a defensive slugfest. Now, both squads have some elite defenders down low. Alexander's McKenna Moore did her part in the paint, swatting away 3 shots in the game, and Haley Edwards had 2 of her own for the Raiders, including this chase down block. And the on-ball defense was strong for both squads, too. There were a combined 40 turnovers in this game.
So both defenses clearly holding each other down, but how are the Raiders able to pull ahead?
Well, River Valley moved the ball around the perimeter with a lot of patience. They'd pass the rock as many times as they had to before finding an open shot, and this plan paid off big time as the Raiders cashed in 7 3-pointers. Edwards knocked down 4 of those 7 threes and was flying all over the floor all game long. And the numbers speak for themselves. She recorded a double-double, snagging 10 rebounds despite being boxed out by much taller Spartans. On top of that, Edwards led the team in points, rebounds, assists, and blocks, proving that hustle can show up on the stat sheet.
Absolutely. Now, we have mentioned a couple of times that this game had a lot at stake. What can you tell us about that?
Well, it's no doubt that this was a huge game, and the fact that the Raiders won this one has definitely shaken up the road to the top of the TVC Ohio.
And speaking of that road, while Athens sits pretty at the top, Alexander and River Valley trail right behind them.
Yeah, Athens is 8-0 in conference play and controls their own destiny, and Alexander's second with a 6-2 record, and River Valley still has a shot at getting the TVC title. Like Luke said earlier, Thursday night is a big night for the Ohio. If the Bulldogs beat Megs Monday night and then knock off Alexander Thursday, at least a share of the TVC Ohio is theirs for a second straight year. Both the Spartans and Raiders have a chance for the crown, but they've got to keep winning and get some help around the conference in order to get to the top. Now, Ashley, there's no doubt in my mind that these teams are going to be putting their foot on the gas this week.
Well, there is no better way to go about it. Thanks, Noah. The Alexander boys took on Wellston this week. That Spartan student section fired up for this one. Wes Briggs with a nice little step into his first 3 points of the night, but that's nothing compared to the 30 he dropped overall. But Alexander's going to start heating up here. Isaac Waller gets it going with a big steal, drive, and score. And then after this, a few plays later, he's going to take it again, and his first one's going to be no good. But his man, Claxton Hawk, is going to get him off the board for 2. These two were huge contributors in this game. Waller again with a dime to Chase Cooper. The Spartans have found their rhythm here, and they would not stop the push. Despite efforts from Wilson to come back, Alexander held it down and won 59-55. Now, I mentioned earlier that Isaac Waller and Claxton Hawk's contributions were huge in this game, but we have to look at the numbers closer here because these two were crucial to this win. Hawk had 22 points, 6 rebounds, a steal, and went 47% from the field, while Waller matched his numbers with 10 points, 10 rebounds, 7 steals, and went 50% from the field. Now we're going to move over to the Megs boys, and Bolby, we've got a pretty hefty one to talk about this week with these boys.
Yeah, but before we do that one, we need to look into what the Marauders have done in their non-conference success, and for that, we bring in Megs reporter Lucy Shaver.
Yeah, guys, it's no secret that the Marauders have been on an absolute tear this season, and that's not just against teams in the TVC. Now, these opponents are no joke, and Megs has beat all of them so far.
Yeah, last season they lost against Gallia, Marietta, Jackson, and Fairfield Union.
But they've turned that around this year. Megs' entire slate last week was out of conference, and they'll have one more against Westfall in February. Now, the second of those 2 TSL matchups last week, a game on the road against the 11-2 Warren Warriors. The Megs faced high-pressure defense right away. They've not had to deal with that in the past couple of weeks. Caden Geen frustrated in the first quarter after losing possession right here. Warren also played smart offensively, causing confusion with last-minute passes and good reads, including this one by Chase Lupardis. But the Marauders stayed alive and close in the first half thanks to firepower from sophomore Owen Tracy. He helped give Megs the edge at halftime 22-21. But in the third, the Warren came out hot and the Marauders started to get tired on defense and in transition. Lead scorer Julian Stadelman with a bucket over a Carson Davis block, and this started to happen more and more. Good plays turned bad with crucial mistakes like these, and the Warriors took them in stride, increasing their lead. further down the stretch, and the Marauders kept missing important shots like this one right here from Caden Geen, or when they did make those shots, Warren would fire back from the other side of the court. The game quickly got away from Megs, and they took their first loss of the season, 70-54.
Yeah, so first loss of the season for the boys, but on the other side, the Megs girls captured their first win.
Yeah, and this is so important because the Marauders have been in a major rebuilding season.
Yeah, so obviously the results say one thing, but take us through why this season has been so tough for the Marauders.
Yeah, so it's been tough because there's not a lot of height on this team, and there are no seniors. Very young team. Names like Keegan Wolf and Andrea Marr from last year, the entire starting five all gone.
So considering the circumstances that the Megs girls are under this season, this was such an important accomplishment.
Yeah, and they started doing a full court press, and that forced a lot of turnovers. Shelby Yost, big contributor on the defensive end, 7 steals on the night, and there was some offensive aggression, especially from freshman Taylor Johnson with a double-double. Head coach Heath Hudson praised his team's resilience after the game, saying they deserved this win.
Very proud of them. They've stuck with it. They've been working really hard. It's good to get rewarded for that hard work, so I'm very proud of them. Kept their composure, ran plays, a lot of improvement on everything that we've been doing. Very proud of them.
The Megs girls will face Athens and Weston next week.
So great to see the Marauders grab that first win.
Yeah, it really is. Thank you so much, Lucy. The Megs girls also faced Vinton County later in the week back in Pomeroy. Alyssa Perry is going to get an early steal for the Vikings on this play, and then they're going to share the ball at the other end, and that play will end with an Emma Leeming bucket down in the paint, as you see.
Now Vinton County pushing the ball all the way down the court with Nora Martin. She's going to stop up and decide to kick it out to Morgan Davis for a knockdown 3 at the end of the third.
Now, Megs got a late bucket from Lakin Riddendorf, tossing it out to Allie Heisel for that try. VC dominant, though, in this one and wins 44-12.
Now VC knows a thing or two about dominance. The Vikings boys have been making strides in the conference all year long.
Yeah, they really have. And the boys continue to keep pace at the top of the TVC Ohio standings. Now they're entering a pivotal stretch that just started with River Valley.
And VC reporter Jack Zwizinski was at the game, and we'll welcome him now to chop it up.
Thanks, guys. This game was incredible. Vinton County was looking for a win, and they got one.
And Jack, the Vikings facing the Raiders, that's been a good thing in recent years.
That's right. VC has had success against River Valley in the past and won the previous matchup by 9 points. The Vikings traveled to Bidwell to meet up with the Raiders, and Vinton County came out on top 77-64. This team started out down 6-0, but with a quick defensive shift, they ended up holding their own against a scrappy Raider team.
Yes, obviously on the road, get off to a slow start, not great, but what did they do in changing the defensive plan? How did it help them?
VC is constantly moving on defense, tending to run a tight zone while allowing their players to be aggressive. They sprinkled in a press and amped the intensity, swarming the ball to make passing incredibly hard for the other team, who must constantly risk turnovers, which the Vikings can capitalize on with their with their ability to charge the hoop.
Spells out a pretty scary defense, but that's only half the game. Who stood out on this team offensively?
This team graduated 9 seniors last year, leaving a massive opening, one that's been filled by seniors Cobra Sharp and Hayden Reynolds. These guards are the dynamic duo for this team. Both Reynolds and Sharp are consistent from 3 and are lethal rim runners for them, and they can dish it out.
Yeah, these two guards are a 1-2 combo for the Vikings team, and their stats speak for themselves.
They were responsible for 51 of VC's 77 points against the Raiders. Cobra Sharp ended the night with 27 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals, while Hayden Reynolds ended with 24 points. Behind Sharp and Reynolds, you can't write the Vikings off in the TVC Ohio race just yet.
Yeah, no, definitely not. With Coach Kite leading them, they're definitely going to keep fighting. Thanks, Jack.
And Jack is absolutely right. The race to both TVC Ohio title conferences continues to heat up every single week.
Yeah, now that we've talked about all the teams, let's take a look at where everyone stands heading into next week. Starting with the boys, Megs, again undefeated in conference, sits confidently at number 1.
Vinton County stays at number 2, and after NY's win over Athens this week, they break the 3rd place tie, taking the spot and moving Athens to number 4.
Boston remaining at 5, Alexander's at 6, and River Valley finishes again at number 7.
Now, as for the girls, much like last week, we saw no movement in the standings. The Athens girls 6-0 in the Ohio remain in that number 1 spot, despite their loss to River Valley this week. Alexander stays at 2 and River Valley at 3, BC still at 4, NY at 5. Wellston at 6, and Megs rounds us out at number 7. Now we're going to set it over to the Hawking, starting with a big matchup between the Fed Hawk girls and Ohio opponent, the Athens Bulldogs. Immediately, a big 3 from Takira Walker, making it a quick 7-point Lancer lead. But we know this Athens defense is not going to play. Shot is up, but Lexi Copel just honestly can't let that happen. Athens is fired up, so you know that Asa Holcomb's got to do something. And she's got a Euro finish at the hoop. And then who plays later? Quinn Banks drains a 3. This team may be dangerous, but Brenly Cottrell has no fear. She's going to have a step back three, which is the first of 13 points she dropped in just the fourth quarter, and it would be enough because Federal Hawking would take down an Ohio powerhouse 58-45. After the game, head coach Amos Cottrell talked about just how crucial Brenly's fourth quarter performance was to this win.
Just made smart, aggressive moves. She hit a three out there in the corner. I felt like that got her going. And then when we were able to open up the floor, she can attack as well as anybody with her size. And she hit some tough shots there at the end.
Now, much like the girls, the boys were also looking to start this week with a high note with a win. Lancer reporter Charlie Luss joins me now. Charlie, so far this season, the Lancers are yet to find their groove, which is a change compared to last year.
Yeah, Ashley, after winning 76% of their games over the previous 4 seasons, FedHawk finds themselves at 2-10, looking to build on a win against River Valley. We bring you to Stewart, where two fast-paced teams in desperate need of a win met. After a FedHawk miss, Gabe Bray gets a putback to get the Lancers rolling. Then near the end of the first quarter, Ren Ballou with a catch and shoot from behind the arc to extend the FedHawk lead. Into the second quarter, a physical lay-in from Landon Burns sparks a Raiders run to get within a bucket to end the half. Fast forward to the fourth quarter, Federal Hawking up 7. Brandon Bennett hits a clutch 3 to cut the lead down to 4. Then on the following inbound, the ball somehow finds his hands again. Bennett gives it to Logandell, who drills it to cut the lead down to 1. But with their backs against the wall, the Lancers cut through the press to Rooston Walls to seal the game 59-54. Coach Thompson talked about how this young team has developed over the season.
But tonight we had one bad mistake. We were able to get a timeout, get over and get them relaxed and that kind of thing. They didn't let it affect them. I like where their mindsets are going. They're starting to grow the right direction with their minds.
So after a slow start to the year, how has FedHawk been able to bounce back in the past couple of months?
Well, after tough first 6 games, the Lancers have cut their point differential in half. This is because they cleaned up their rebounding, shot better from 3, and closed out tight games. This squad has made great strides throughout the year, and this win will be just another building block.
Thanks for the hard work, Charlie. Bowlby, the Eastern girls also saw FedHawk this week in a TVC Hawking matchup.
Yes, they did, but this would be the only game the Eagles got to play this week. And we have Eastern reporter Evan Johnson with us. And although the Eastern girls didn't get to play a couple of games this week.
Yeah, the Eastern girls were looking to snap a 7-game losing streak. However, due to lack of availability, they had to cancel their game on Monday against Alexander, as well as their game with Meigs on Wednesday. But the Eagles were able to get one game in this week, facing Federal Hawking with limited players on Friday. They lost that one 72-34.
All right, Evan, so over on the boys' side, there's one family in this program that's really involved in all aspects.
Yeah, the Lloyd family has played a key role in Eastern's success this season. They have found a deeper connection through basketball.
Eastern boys head coach Greg Lloyd has coached his son Colton since he was 5, but he has stepped into a new role this season, varsity head coach. For Colton, he says this is all normal.
I mean, it's pretty normal to me, obviously, since he's coached me my whole entire life, but whenever I'm on the court, I like to think of him as a coach rather than a dad. I obviously give him all the respect, even though he's my dad.
But basketball just hasn't brought Greg and Colton closer together, it's brought the whole family closer. Greg's wife currently does the bookkeeping for the team, and his daughter is on the middle school basketball team.
The love that we have for sports and basketball in particular kind of have brought us together as a family, so it's been fun.
Colton's mom was an Eastern alum where she was a 1,000 career point scorer, as well as first team All-State in basketball and volleyball.
Having my family here supporting me, watching me, going through my basketball journey with me the whole way, and hopefully I can continue that after high school because my goal is to play college basketball, so hopefully they can be with me with that. And obviously my mom played college basketball, and I think she would love to see me take that next step.
In just his first year, Coach Lloyd has taken this Eastern team from 4 wins last season to 8 wins already this season. With the whole family involved, the Eagles will look to get back atop of the TVC Hawking.
We have also seen Colton grow on the court and really step into a leadership role.
Yeah, Evan, myself and Ashley, we went to the Eastern game against Southern last week, and it was really cool to see that relationship between Colton and Greg, and then seeing his mom in there as well. It's great to see that program do it. And the relationship on the court, what does it do for their games?
It really helps the connection between both of them. They're able to find a way to score, and Eastern does a great job of their connection. Eastern was looking to snap a 3-game losing streak, but Carson Lambert was not going to make it easy, draining this 3 to start the game. Colton Lloyd gets to the corner and drains the tough jumper over 2-point Pleasant defenders. However, Lambert could not miss, picking up the and one en route to 25 points in the game. Eastern found themselves in a hole early, but back-to-back triples from Derek Barnes brought the Eagles back to life. Senior Brady Rockhold takes advantage of the Point Pleasant mistake and gets the scoop and the score to bring the lead within 2. Desperately needing a basket, Lloyd capitalizes with the finish and the foul. Asher Robinson picks the pocket as Sam Bausch, and Point Pleasant will hold on for a 76-66 win. Even after losing 4 games in a row, the Eagles still sit at 3rd in the TVC hockey.
Yeah, it's been incredible to see the turnaround from what they were last year to now what they were. Absolutely amazing. Thanks so much, Evan. All right, Friday night, the Eastern boys were also looking to shake off the Point Pleasant loss on the road against Trimble. Early ball movement by the Tomcats is going to result in an easy bucket for Mason Kaufman. Let's go ahead to the second quarter. Brady Rockhold going to kick it out to Derek Barnes for a deep tray. Remember his name. Eagles led by 8 at half. Trimble still fighting in the second half, and Brady Jasek will start this sequence in the corner, and he's going to get down low with a tough layup. Tomcats got within 6, but Eastern clutched up. Derek Barnes going to get the ball in the corner, and a dagger. That was his 6th 3 of the game. Eastern gets a big road win, 62-49.
Now, while the Trimble boys look to break a losing streak, the girls took on Wilson Wednesday night, hoping to continue their win streak. Trimble reporter Ty Carpenter joins me now.
These girls have been on fire, Ashley, and after their win last week against NY, they've showed no signs of slowing down.
So what has it been that has been pushing this Trimble team on this hot streak?
Yeah, so the bread and butter for Trimble has been that defense. They love this heavy press, trying to force those errors, and when they get one, this defense swarms in. It's how they got Wellston in this one.
So taking advantage of those mistakes and using them to score quickly seems like that's been Trimble's game.
Yeah, you can see here, Hadley May, she forced the mistake, she gets the steal, and this offense is strong in transition. Wellston can't get set, and these girls know exactly where each other are going to be, so Trimble may struggle if the defensive set, but if they can get in a fast tempo and catch them off guard, there's no stopping this team.
So another win on the board for the Tomcats, and their defense has just been on point lately.
Yeah, for sure, Ashley. It's been really interesting to watch this team flow together, and I think it's worth taking a closer look, so let's jump right into it. In this first play, Trimble, they're going to drop into a press trap coverage, forming a rectangle here. Now, Fouts, she's going to be able to leave space open and bait a pass inside. That's what she wants, because Weber, she's going to be able to jump that pass, forces Lambert outside by herself, and that lets this defense swarm in. But now I want to talk about that transition offense this team loves. So same trap as before, this pass gets tipped yet again, but this time Trimble, they're going to get that steal, and trust me, this offense is lethal in transition. Wellston, they're forced to foul on that play. So on this next one, let's take another look. Stevens, she's by herself, and this defense crashes in. They get the steal again, and it's all about scoring in transition. They're going to be able to pass this ball out to Weber, and she is wide open for that bucket. That's how this team operates, but you heard it from me. Let's hear it from Coach.
So at least the defense, if you play hard, you can always do that, regardless of whether you've been in a gym, not been in a gym. So yes, the defense has helped us out. It picked us up obviously in the first, second quarter there in the press and stuff like that, but we need to continue to get better and thrive off that defense and see what happens.
So Ashley, if these girls keep that identity and start to get that offense moving, it's exciting to see where this team could end up.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it, Ty. Thanks. The Trimble girls also took on TVC Titan Waterford this week, and here Waterford's Kendall Surrey grabs her 1,000th career point to get the Wildcats going. Brenley Pottmeyer with an and one. Pottmeyer was the lead scorer on the night, but after this, Rylan Fouts is going to try and get something going, but Trimble is going to make a tough lay, but the Avery Wagner train is about to leave the station. That's going to be 3 blocks in a row for Wagner, but we know she's a beast on both sides of the ball. So a few plays later, she's going to drain a buzzer beater 3, and Waterford adds another win to their resume, 47-15. After the game, Kendall Surrey talked about what 1,000th point milestone means to her.
It means a lot to finally get it tonight. I mean, all the years I've worked so hard to get to this point, so it just feels really good soaking it all in tonight and realizing how much I've endured to get to this point. And it's really just awesome that I can feel this feeling.
Now, what a great milestone for Kendall Surrey. And now Watercats reporter Jamie Spears joins us. The Waterford boys have been in a lot of close games recently.
Yeah, coming into this game, the boys were 1-3 in their last 4 games, but those losses came by a combined of 9 points. This is a lineup full of young, developing talent looking to prove they belong. That brings us to Waterford, where the Wildcats hosted Trimble on Thursday. First possession of the game, Brady Jasek drove in and got the tough finish and won. Senior Cole Sparling-Ponchak never gave up on this play by getting his own rebound in the putback. Gavin Heener knocked down this 3 from the corner. He ended the first quarter 3 for 3 from deep. Going into half, it was 24-24. It was all Waterford in the third quarter, but in the fourth, the Tomcats made a late push. The sophomores on Waterford ended with 39 out of 49 points. The Tomcats switched to a full court press that led to turnovers. Down by 3 with 4 seconds left, Trimble had a wide open look but fell short, giving Waterford the 49-46 win. After the game, Coach Daryl Cunningham talked about how important Sparling-Ponchak has changed the future of Waterford.
Cole's realizing that, his opportunities are diminishing one game at a time. He doesn't get any more chances at it after this year. So, Cole's been locked in, just leading by example, helping our young guys grow every day in practice.
Behind Sparling's leadership, the Wildcats' young talent continues to grow and are trending towards the right direction at winning a TVC Hawking title.
He's a great leader for the team, and things are certainly looking up for the Waterford program. Thanks, Jamie. The TVC Hawking title this year has become a two-team race between Belpre and Southern. Here's a triple. We're going to see a triple early from Case Nelson for Southern. And although the first quarter was low scoring, Sanders had an 8-5 lead.
Down to the other end of the court, and Carson Moore bangs home the first of back-to-back triples.
Let's flash forward to the third. Andre Chandler wants the ball, and he's got it. He's got that layup all day. Chandler had 21 on the night.
Now Malik Curry is going to step up and do this all by himself. Belpre started the fourth on a 13-5 run to get back into the game.
Yeah, but Southern's had enough of that run. Full court pass to Nelson, and a layup that halts the Golden Eagles' momentum.
And one more steal and score just for good measure. Southern's going to win 64-56 and inches closer to a Hawking title.
Yeah, so the Tornadoes haven't won the Hawking since 2014, and here's a look at the remaining schedule.
After facing Wirt County, Southern has 4 straight home games before the rematch with Belpre.
Yeah, and all eyes are going to be on that February 7th game, but still, Southern has to take care of business against the rest of the Hawking. And now, if they weren't already certain in that #1 spot, the win over Belpre certainly solidifies where they belong.
Yeah, but what does that mean for the rest of the boys' standings this week? Well, let's check it out. It actually doesn't mean that much. We saw no movement in the standings yet again. Like I just mentioned, Southern stays at 1 and Belpre at 2.
Yeah, Eastern not far behind Belpre, remaining at 3. Waterford on the heels at #4. And then Trimble and Fedhawk finish out the Hawking boys at 5 and 6. Now, as for the girls, we're also looking at much of the same.
Yeah, Bobby, the Hawking standings are very consistent. Waterford undefeated in conference, still at 1, Belpre at 2, and Fedhawk again at 3.
Trimble still holding strong at 4. Southern and Eastern both had to, or Southern's at 5. Eastern had to cancel a handful of games this past week, but still remaining at #6.
So we've seen all the games of the week, but I think now it's time to pick our heroes.
Yeah, I think so. The performances this week were fantastic and against the tough competition, but we can only pick 2. We're going to start with the girls, and this one stood above the rest. It's Federal Hawking's Brenly Cottrell.
If you feel like you hear Brenly Cottrell's name a lot, well, that's because you do. She is the glue to a very dominant Federal Hawking team.
Yeah, in this week's game against Athens, Cottrell had 26 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals.
She went 10 for 19 from the field and proved all game long who she is and why she deserves to be this week's hero.
And our boys' hero is VC's Cobra Sharp. He stepped up and led the Vikings to a big victory on the road against River Valley.
Cobra was scoring at will and delivered big assists, setting up his teammates perfectly. In addition to his 27 points, he also had 3 assists.
Yeah, and we can't forget about the defense. Those 3 steals were timely plays that helped the Vikings pull this one out as well. Now, there's no doubt these 2 performances stood out this week. Both Cottrell and Sharp, key factors in leading their teams to crucial wins.
And if you want your team to compete at a high level, you have to be the reason why, and these 2 absolutely do that flawlessly. So we just mentioned tough competition, and it's only heating up because we are just weeks away from the end of the regular season.
Yeah, and these games are going to get bigger. Next week, there's a lot of good ones on the schedule. I know Waterford and Fort Fry on the girls' side. And these games, as you just mentioned, they get bigger. They start meaning more as we get closer and closer to the tournament time.
Yeah, absolutely, Bobby. I mean, I can't wait to see the competition, the way things wrap up. We got to do it next week.
Yep, we'll be back here at Sunday at 11 p.m. as a whole new slate of games is down.
But until then, make sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and X so you are in the know all week long. Until next time, we're reminding you to be heroic.